Now it's simple like this. Okay. Now when it comes to businesses, as businesses are evolving, we are issuing checks. Now earlier, when the business is totally on cash basis, what we have to do is when we are making payments, there we have to make the payments out of the cash available with us. But now we said when businesses are evolving, they are opening bank accounts and they are opening current accounts in the banks. And when you have a current account inside the bank, you get a special benefit where you can issue checks. Okay. With these checks, you can make the payments to creditors, payments to purchases, payments to other expenses like electricity bills, and many more. Okay. Now, when you take a checkbook, what the specialty in this is you have two parts in a checkbook. One is the counterfoil, where you have a separate part, and the next part is the check itself. ඒ කියන්නේ පළවෙනියටම තියෙන චෙක් බුක් එකේ පොඩි කෑලි දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තියෙනවා අපි කියන counter file එක කියලා, අනිත් එක check එක. So when we are issuing a check, that means when we are making a payment, what we do is we record all these details on the check note initially. That is to whom we are making the payment. Is it cash or is it account pay? What is the amount and your signature. And on the other hand, what you are doing is on the counterfoil. අර මම කිව්ව කලින් තියෙන වෙනම තියෙන කෑල්ලේ counterfoil එකත් we are recording to whom we have issued this check and what is the amount and what are the other necessary records. Okay. The importance in this is once we do this practice, let's say now after a couple of months or after a couple of days, we need to check something. Okay, then we have the counter file where we can turn into it and we can like see to whom we have made the payment, how much we have made, and what are the particulars. Okay, and in perspective of accounting, when the payments are made out of checks, what happens is balances in the bank account of the business is decreasing. Okay. You can check එකකින් check එකක් issue කරගාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? bank account එකේ තියෙන bank balance එක අඩු වෙනවා. So in issuing checks, the double entry is as follows. Expense account and the relevant payment account we are debiting, bank account we are crediting. Why? Now, as per the double entry principle, we learn when we are incurring an expense, business එකක තියෙන expense එක වැඩි වෙද්දී we are putting a debit entry, whereas දැන් ඒ වගේ expense එකක් කරද්දී එහෙම නැත්නම් check එකක් issue කරද්දී අපි කලින් කතා වුණා bank account එකේ තියෙන balance එක අඩු වෙනවා කියලා. bank account එක කියන්නේ asset account එකක්. asset account එකේ balance එක අඩු වෙනවා නම් we are passing a credit entry. So bank account is credited. Okay. So in simple, the double entry of the deposit of cash is expense account or the relevant payment account we are debiting, and bank account we are crediting. Okay. The details of the payments made by checks are recorded in payment vouchers. Accordingly, when payments are paid by checks, the payment voucher is used as the source documents. එතකොට අපි කලින් කතා වුණා cash deposit කරද්දී bank account සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි දැන් transactions ජාති තුනක් කතා කරා මේ වෙද්දී. එකක් තමයි cash deposit කරන එක, දෙවෙනි එක තමයි checks deposit කරන එක. දැන් ඇවිල්ලා issuing of checks. අපි කතා වුණා cash deposit කරද්දී source document එක cash deposit slip එක, check deposit කරද්දී check deposit slip එක. So similarly, when the payments are paid by checks, make a source document එක තමයි payment voucher. Payment voucher is the source document. Okay. Now this is the image of a check and its counterfoil. Now, if you look at this, now this is a check issued by a bank in Sri Lanka. Okay. Then here they record the bank, and here you record the branch, and here you have the date and to whom that you have issued the check. Now here they have issued the check to Sahan Abenayaka. Sahan Abenayakata කියන කෙනාට ගෙවන්න කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. Right? Then the amount is 15,000. And this is, I think, Ruwan Kularatna. This is the issuer of the check. එතකොට හරිම සරල විදිහට මේ check එකේ මොකක්ද කියලා තියෙන කියලා එක තේරුම් ගත්තොත් 2014 ජනවාරි මාසේ 5 වෙනිදා රුවන් කුලරත්න කියන කෙනා check එකක් issue කරනවා සහන් අබේනායකට ගෙවන්න කියලා 15,000. හරිද? මේක බැංක් ඔෆ් සිලෝන් කියන බැංක් එකේ තියෙන චෙක් එකක්. ඒකේ ෆිෆ්ත් සිටි බ්‍රාන්ච් කියන එකේ තමයි මේ චෙක් එක තියෙන, ඒ කියන්නේ මේ account එක තියෙන බ්‍රාන්ච් එක. හරිද? එතකොට මේක තමයි මේ චෙක් එක. Okay, then we talked about something called counterfoil. Counterfoil එක කියන්නේ මේ part එක. එතකොට මේ check එක issue වෙද්දී මේ check එක කෙලින්ම check book එකෙන් අයින් වෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ counterfoil එක කියන එක අපි ළඟ තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒකේ තියෙනවා date එක. Date එක, that is the date we issued this, and pay, that is Sahan Abhenayaka. This is the particulars for the purchase of goods on credit, and what is the amount? 15,000. එතකොට මේ counter file එක තියෙද්දි අපිට හැමතිස්සෙම පුළුවන් මේක trace කරගන්න. For example දැන් මේක බැලුවොත් එimhe මෙතන තියෙනවා මේ counter file එකේ මේ number එකයි මේ reference number එකයි මේ reference number එකයි සමානයි. So then it's easy to check. Okay? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ check numbers දෙක trace කරගන්න පුළුවන් මේකේ. So these are the two parts, part 1 and part 2, counterfoil and the check. Okay. So do you have any questions out of this? Any question also? The අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේ practical scenario එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම when we are going into banks අනුව අපි කියවන check account එක current account එකක් open කරන්න you need to deposit the balance first. එතකොට banks එක අනුව හරිද, ඊට පස්සේ bank එකක තියෙන branch එක අනුව මේ deposit කරන්න ඕන මුදල් ප්‍රමාණය වෙනස් වෙනවා. For example, let's say People's Bank එකේ තියෙන පොඩි branch එකක සමහරක් වෙලාවට දාන්න check account එකක් open කරන්න දාන්න ඕන initial deposit එකයි People's Bank එකේ තියෙන ලොකු branch එකක අපි හිතමු කොළඹ වල තියෙන main branch එකක account එකක් open කරන්න deposit කරන්න ඕන balance එකයි සමහරක් විට වෙනස්. Okay, ඒ කියන්නේ initial deposit එක maybe bank to bank and even bank branch to bank branch, it can vary. Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the note. Issuing of checks. Issuing of checks. Put the heading as issuing of checks. Payments can be made to creditors, purchasers, and expenses by issuing checks. By issuing checks. When a check is issued, it is a common practice to complete the check and its counterfoil. Check and the counterfoil again, counterfoil like a maker. This is the check. Okay. And you have to finish both. Then only you can keep a track of what happened. Okay. Counterfoil is the remainder of the check leaf in the checkbook. Counterfoil is the remainder of the check leaf in the checkbook. When payments are made by checks, the balance in the bank account of the business decreases. When the payments are made by checks, the balance in the bank account of the business decreases. Check එකක් issue කරාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? bank account එකේ තියෙන balance එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ check එකක් අපි issue කරාට පස්සේ ඒ check එක ගන්න කෙනා ඇවිල්ලා bank එකට ඒ check එක present කරනවා. එතකොට bank එක කරන්නේ ඒ check එක අපි හිතමුකෝ අර දැන් මේ 15000ක. එතකොට මේ රුවන් කුලරත්න මේ check එක issue කරේ. එතකොට සහන් අබේනායක ඇවිල්ලා bank එකට ගිහිල්ලා මේ check එක present කරනවා. check එක present කරනවම මොකද වෙන්නේ? bank එක 15,000 රුවන් කුලරත්නගේ account එකෙන් අඩු කරලා සහන් අබේනායකට ගෙවනවා. Okay, that is the case here. When payments are made by checks, the balance in the bank account of the business decreases. Okay, the double entry issuing checks is as follows. The double entry issuing check is as follows. expense account / relevant payment account debit because it's an expense account, and bank account credit because it's an asset account and asset balance is going down. Because of that, we are crediting it. The details of the payments made by checks, the details of the payments made by checks are recorded in payment vouchers. The details of payments made by checks are recorded in payment vouchers. Accordingly, when payments are paid by checks, the payment voucher is used as the source document. Accordingly, when payments are paid by checks, the payment voucher is used as the source document. Okay, take about, now it's 7:11. Take about 1 minute and complete if you have missed anything. Once it is 7:13, we will move on to the next slide.